Have you ever looked at a basket of eggs? They all look pretty much the same, right? Smooth, perfect, almost identical. But you and I both know that somewhere in there could be a bad one. And from the outside, there's no way to tell. It's only when you crack it open that you find out the truth. It's rotten, and that can make you sick. Well, people can be a lot like that. The shell can look fantastic, but sometimes it's just a really convincing disguise for something toxic. So today, we are going to crack that shell and see what's really hiding behind the perfect facade.
And this quote from Dr. Sarah Davies just hits the nail on the head. A wolf in sheep's clothing. It's not just a disguise. It's about a predatory nature hiding behind something that looks completely harmless. That's what makes it so incredibly dangerous. The charm isn't real charm. It's a weapon. And the friendliness? That's the trap.
All right, so let's start with that perfect outer shell. What makes it so believable? Is it just that they're amazing actors? Or is there something going on in our own minds that actually makes us want to believe the lie? Let's dig into why we fall for it so easily.
And here you can really see the deception in action. Look at this. The things that pull us in, they're just the shiny surface of a much darker reality. That so-called charm is actually a manipulative tool called glibness. That high confidence, it's really a grandiose sense of self-worth. Those captivating stories they tell, well, they're often just pathological lies. And that attentiveness, where they seem so interested in you, yeah, that's really just them gathering information they can probably use against you later.
What's wild is that our own brains are basically wired to fall into this trap. It's like a 1-2-3 punch. First, you've got the primacy effect, where that amazing first impression they make is incredibly hard to shake off. Then, confirmation bias kicks in, and we start looking for anything that proves our first impression is right, while totally ignoring all the red flags. And finally, motivated perception seals the deal. We want to believe this person is great, so our own wishful thinking ends up being their best friend.
So how in the world do they keep this flawless mask on? It's not an accident. It's a very specific set of psychological tools. Let's take a look at the weapons in their arsenal, the ones they use to keep the whole illusion going. The first tool in the box is glibness. Think of it as weaponized charm. It's slick, it's smooth, and it's a performance designed to make you lower your guard. They'll use quick wit and flattery to build trust almost instantly, but behind that smile, there's no real emotion. It's all just a means to an end. Next up, we have pathological lying. This is the ability to lie so easily, so convincingly, without even a hint of anxiety. They can build these incredible life stories out of thin air. But the thing about lies is, eventually, the inconsistencies start to pile up, and that's when the whole facade starts to crumble. So you have to wonder, how are their lies so believable? Well, here's the secret: self-deception. To fool you, they first have to fool themselves. This is why they don't give off those classic signs of lying. You know, the shifty eyes or nervous twitching. Because on some level, they've actually convinced themselves their lie is the truth, which makes it incredibly hard for the rest of us to spot. And this often plays out like a 3-act strategy, especially in a workplace. Step 1, build the perfect facade. They use all their social skills to seem completely trustworthy and reliable. Step 2, integrate. They work their way into the team until they seem indispensable. And then, step 3, extract. Once they've got everyone's trust, they start manipulating things behind the scenes for their own personal gain. But here's the good news. No shell is perfect. It can't last forever. Over time, the pressure and scrutiny will cause little cracks to appear in that facade. The real key is knowing how to spot those cracks before the whole thing shatters. And this brings us to something that is absolutely crucial: your intuition. It is a powerful early warning system, that little gut feeling you get that something is just off even when you can't put your finger on it. That's your subconscious picking up on tiny inconsistencies your conscious mind has missed. Learning to trust that voice is your first and maybe your best line of defense. So what do these cracks look like in the real world? Well, look for inconsistency between what they say and what they do. Notice if drama just seems to follow them everywhere they go. Pay close attention to how they treat your boundaries. And definitely watch out for manipulative tactics, like gaslighting, where they try to make you doubt your own reality, or when they hijack your problems to somehow make it all about them. We've seen the cracks in the shell, so now it's time to break it open. What's really going on inside this rotten egg? Because underneath that perfect facade, we find a very specific set of personality traits that fuel all this destructive behavior. The psychiatrist Hervey Cleckley had the perfect name for this: the mask of sanity. Just imagine a brilliant actor playing the role of a normal, healthy person. They know all the lines, they've got all the facial expressions down pat, but behind the mask, there's nothing there. No real emotion, no genuine personality. It's just a flawless performance covering up a completely hollow core. These behaviors are often driven by a trio of traits that psychologists call the dark triad. Now, they can overlap, but they each have their own motivation. Psychopathy is all about a lack of empathy and a hunger for power. Covert narcissism is fueled by this bottomless need for admiration, and Machiavellianism, that's about cold, calculated, long-term manipulation for personal gain.
Cleckley's original research paints such a chilling picture of this internal emptiness. He described a person with a complete lack of remorse, a total inability to love, a real poverty of deep emotions, and get this, a shocking lack of self-awareness. It's a portrait of someone who is fundamentally disconnected from what it means to be human.
So, we've cracked the egg. We've seen the rotten core. And knowing this stuff is powerful, but only if you actually use it. So how do you protect yourself? How do you keep from getting sick from the bad egg?
Protecting yourself is a two-part strategy, a delicate balance. Think of your intuition, that gut feeling, as the smoke detector. It's the alarm that screams, hey, there might be a fire, but you still need to find the evidence, the actual flames, before you make a decision. Your gut tells you where to look, but the facts tell you what to do. All right, once you've confirmed you're dealing with a toxic person, it's time to build your defenses. That means setting strong boundaries and actually enforcing them. It means managing your own reactions and refusing to get sucked into their drama. It means putting yourself and your well-being first. And maybe most important of all, it means accepting that you cannot fix them. And this right here, this might be the most critical takeaway of all. You cannot fix a rotten egg. It's just not possible. You can't change their fundamental character. The only thing you have any power over is yourself, how you react, what you're willing to tolerate, and whether you keep them in your life at all. The real power is in your hands. So let's end on a question for you to really think about. After everything we've talked about today, what is the one red flag that you will absolutely never ignore again? Answering that question for yourself, well, that's the first real step to protecting your future.